My name is Hannah Cohen, and what I'm about to share with you will challenge everything you've ever known about Valentine's Day. I am a 37-year-old clinical nutritionist from Seattle, Washington, and on the night of February 12, 2024, my life was forever transformed. During my short near-death experience, Jesus revealed the shocking truths about Valentine's Day, an occasion celebrated by millions, yet misunderstood by many. What he showed me was so different from the way we've come to view love, affection, relationships, and was nothing like what society has led us to believe. But before we start, please let me know where you're listening from. It will be nice to feel closer, even if we're physically apart. Also, don't forget to like and comment on what you thought about this near-death experience testimony. Let's have a fair and open discussion so we can learn from each other on this channel. Enjoy listening. I was hiking alone in the Olympic National Forest, documenting rare medicinal plants for my research. The temperature had dropped rapidly, and I didn't realize how severe hypothermia could be until it was too late. The cold crept into my bones, silencing my movements, slowing my heart. By the time rescue teams would find me, I had already crossed the threshold between life and death. The transition was unlike anything I could have imagined. There was no tunnel of light, no dramatic music. Just a profound stillness, a clarity that felt more real than any moment in my previous life. And then he was there, Jesus Christ, radiating a love so intense it was almost unbearable to comprehend. "Rachel," he said, "I need to show you something critical about how my children are being deceived." What followed was a comprehensive spiritual revelation that would challenge everything I thought I knew about Valentine's Day. Jesus began by showing me visions of ancient Rome, not as a romantic historical tableau, but as a raw, unfiltered spiritual landscape. I watched the pagan festival of Lupercalia unfold before my eyes. The horrific rituals, the complete disregard for human dignity, the sexual immorality masked as a religious celebration, it was overwhelming. "This is the true origin of what people now call Valentine's Day," Jesus explained. "A festival dedicated to fertility gods, rooted in practices that have nothing to do with genuine love." He revealed intricate spiritual connections I had never understood. The god Nimrod, Pan, the Roman gods Venus and Cupid, each symbol I had thoughtlessly accepted was actually a carefully constructed facade hiding deeply problematic spiritual origins. "My children continue to participate in traditions that have no connection to me," Jesus said. "They celebrate a day thinking it's about love, when its roots are in something completely contrary to my teachings." The spiritual revelation was intense. Jesus walked me through the historical transformation, how the Roman Catholic Church strategically rebranded the pagan Lupercalia festival, giving it a veneer of Christian respectability. I saw how a day originally filled with sexual lottery, animal sacrifices, and fertility rites was transformed into something that appeared harmless. "Look deeper," he instructed, and suddenly I could perceive the spiritual darkness underlying the celebration. The commercial exploitation, the pressure to conform, the shallow understanding of love reduced to a single day of gift-giving. "True love is not about a day," Jesus explained. "True love is daily commitment. True love is keeping my commandments. True love is serving others, not participating in traditions that honor anything other than me." The revelations were comprehensive. I learned about the specific pagan gods associated with the festival: Lucas, the god of fertility; Faunus, the connection to Romulus and Remus. Jesus showed me how these ancient rituals were not just historical footnotes, but ongoing spiritual deceptions. But the spiritual revelations about Valentine's Day were just beginning. Jesus then began to systematically deconstruct every aspect of the holiday, revealing layers of spiritual deception that had been hidden for centuries. "Let me show you the true origins," he said, and suddenly I was transported through time, witnessing the evolution of this seemingly innocent celebration. I saw the Roman festival of Lupercalia in vivid, horrifying detail. Young men dressed as priests, running through the streets of Rome, whipping women with sacrificial animal hides. The women would line up, believing these brutal acts would grant them fertility. The sexual immorality, the complete objectification of women, the raw pagan ritualism, it was nothing like the romantic holiday people celebrate today. "This is where Valentine's Day truly began," Jesus explained. "A fertility festival dedicated to Lucas, to Faunus, to the most basic human desires." He revealed the intricate connections I had never understood. Nimrod, the ancient ruler often associated with rebellion against God, was at the core of these celebrations. The god Pan, the horned deity of nature and sexuality, was directly linked to these rituals. Each symbol I had thoughtlessly accepted, the red roses, the cherubic Cupid, the entire romantic narrative, was a carefully constructed spiritual trap. Do you understand now? This is not about love, this is about spiritual deception, Jesus said. I learned about Saint Valentine himself, or rather, the lack of concrete historical information about him. Jesus explained how the Catholic Church had strategically rebranded a pagan festival, giving it a veneer of Christian respectability. The multiple legends about Saint Valentine were just that, legends. There was no single verifiable historical figure behind the holiday. My children have been led astray, Jesus said. They celebrate a day thinking it's about love, when its roots are in something completely contrary to my teachings. The commercial aspect of the holiday became painfully clear. I saw visions of billions of dollars spent each year, of marketing campaigns designed to manipulate emotions, of people feeling pressured to prove their love through expensive gifts. The average American spends nearly $20 billion on a single day, a day rooted in pagan fertility rituals. Jesus' eyes held a deep sorrow as he gestured toward a vision unfolding before me. I saw the familiar symbols of Valentine's Day, the cherubic figure of Cupid, the deep red roses, and the romantic rituals celebrated year after year. But as the scene shifted, their true origins were revealed, and my heart sank with understanding. That is not an innocent child with wings, Jesus said. He is no angel of love. The image of Cupid flickered and changed, revealing something far older, far darker. In ancient times, he was known as Eros, a god who did not inspire love as the world believed, but uncontrollable desire, infatuation that consumed without care for consequence. His arrows did not bring true devotion but lust, a force that overtook reason and led people into temptation. The scene shifted again, and a deep crimson flooded my vision, roses, rich and velvety, filling the hands of lovers across the centuries. They were a universal sign of romance, but Jesus showed me where they truly came from. These were not meant to symbolize purity or devotion, he said. They were offerings to Venus, the goddess of sexual immorality, a symbol of passion detached from holiness. I watched as people, unaware of the weight these symbols carried, exchanged them in blind devotion to a tradition they had never questioned. The world had painted these things as beautiful, but beneath their surface, their origins whispered a different story, one of indulgence, one of deception. And then, I saw something even more troubling. The earliest celebrations of this so-called Day of Love had nothing to do with honor, commitment, or sacrifice. In their truest form, they were rituals of chance, a lottery where names were drawn, not to create bonds of faithful devotion, but to assign partners for temporary pleasure. Strangers thrown together by fate, their connection lasting only as long as the festival dictated. There was no true love here, only an echo of the ancient chaos that had once defined Lupercalia. This is not how I defined love, Jesus emphasized. Love is not about a single day. Love is not about commercialization. Love is about daily commitment, about keeping my commandments. He revealed biblical perspectives I had never fully appreciated. Love, in God's view, was about obedience, about serving others, about maintaining spiritual integrity. The Apostle Paul's words rang true, "Do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers." And in that moment, I knew. What the world had dressed up as romance, as affection, was a counterfeit, a carefully disguised shadow of something much older, much darker. Love was never meant to be left to chance, dictated by pagan rituals or bound to fleeting passion. Love, as Jesus had always intended, was something greater, something holy. And it was time to see the truth. Then Jesus began to systematically reveal the 10 critical reasons why Christians should avoid celebrating Valentine's Day, each point a spiritual arrow piercing through centuries of cultural deception. First, he said, understand the spiritual warfare behind this holiday. He showed me visions of how paganism infiltrates modern Christianity, not through overt rebellion, but through subtle compromise. Lupercalia wasn't just an ancient festival, it was a spiritual template that continued to influence generations. The festival's core remained unchanged, a celebration of fertility, sexual immorality, and human desire, disguised now under the veneer of romantic love. The sexual immorality aspect was particularly shocking. Jesus revealed how Valentine's Day creates a spiritual environment that encourages premarital sexual relationships. I saw statistical projections of unplanned pregnancies, emotional trauma, and broken relationships, all stemming from a single day that claims to celebrate love but actually promotes momentary passion. Your culture has commodified love, Jesus explained. Love is not a product to be purchased on a specific day. Love is a daily commitment, a spiritual discipline. He walked me through biblical references, showing how God's definition of love fundamentally differs from the world's understanding. 1 Corinthians 13 came alive. Love as patience, kindness, not keeping record of wrongs. Not love as a commercial transaction or a one-day performance. The historical connections became even more intricate. I learned about the Roman gods, Venus, Cupid, Juno, and how each symbolic element of modern Valentine's Day traced back to pagan worship. The red roses, Venus's sacred flower. The cherubic Cupid, a representation of sexual desire, not innocent love. People think changing a name changes the spiritual essence, Jesus said. But renaming a pagan ritual doesn't make it holy. He revealed how the Roman Catholic Church had strategically absorbed pagan traditions, a practice called religious syncretism. Lupercalia wasn't eliminated, it was rebranded. The love lottery became saint name drawing. Sexual rituals became romanticized courtship. The spiritual darkness remained, merely disguised. My understanding of spiritual warfare deepened. This wasn't just about a holiday, it was about maintaining spiritual integrity, about being set apart as true followers of Christ. Many believe they're harmlessly celebrating love, Jesus explained. But they're actually participating in a centuries-old spiritual deception. The economic dimension was equally revealing. Americans spend nearly $20 billion annually on Valentine's Day, a massive spiritual and financial investment in a holiday with deeply problematic origins. Each dollar spent was, in a spiritual sense, a form of worship to these ancient pagan concepts. Jesus then showed me how Valentine's Day creates a toxic cycle of emotional expectations and potential spiritual harm. Look deeper, he said, at the psychological mechanisms behind this holiday. I witnessed the intricate emotional dynamics the holiday creates. Women feel unloved if they don't receive gifts. Men feeling pressured to perform financially. The entire construct was a masterpiece of spiritual and emotional manipulation, a system designed to create feelings of inadequacy, comparison, and conditional love. This is not love, Jesus emphasized. This is a manufactured emotional experience. He revealed the deeper spiritual implications of these emotional dynamics. The holiday creates a performance-based love model that directly contradicts God's unconditional love. Every red rose, every heart-shaped chocolate becomes a transaction, a moment of emotional currency that has nothing to do with genuine spiritual connection. The biblical perspective became crystal clear. In Corinthians, love is described as patient, kind, not keeping record of wrongs. Valentine's Day, by contrast, creates a record-keeping mentality. Who gave the best gift, who received the most attention, who demonstrated love most dramatically. My children are being spiritually malnourished, Jesus said, by a system that commodifies the most sacred human emotion. The revelations about spiritual alternatives were equally powerful. Jesus showed me the 7 biblical festivals outlined in Leviticus 23, celebrations that actually reveal God's plan of salvation. These were meaningful spiritual events, not commercialized emotional performances. I saw how these biblical festivals connected people to a larger spiritual narrative. Passover revealing redemption. Pentecost showing spiritual empowerment. Each festival is a profound spiritual experience, unlike the shallow performative nature of Valentine's Day. The economic manipulation became even more apparent. Corporations had transformed love into a multi-billion-dollar industry. The average American spends nearly $20 billion annually, not on genuine connection, but on temporary tokens of affection. Every purchased gift, Jesus explained, is a small act of spiritual compromise. The symbolic elements became painfully clear. The entire holiday is a carefully constructed spiritual trap. Then Jesus showed me how traditions pass from one generation to another, carrying embedded spiritual DNA that most people never recognize. Each celebration is a transmission, he explained, a spiritual inheritance few understand. I saw generational patterns of spiritual blindness. Parents unknowingly passing down traditions without questioning their origins. Children absorbing cultural practices like invisible spiritual algorithms, never understanding the deeper metaphysical implications. The historical connections became an intricate tapestry of spiritual manipulation. From Nimrod to Pan, from Roman fertility rituals to modern commercial celebrations, Valentine's Day represented a continuous thread of spiritual deception. Changing the name doesn't change the spiritual essence, Jesus emphasized. Renaming a pagan ritual doesn't purify its core intention. He revealed how spiritual principalities operate through cultural traditions. Valentine's Day wasn't just a harmless celebration, it was a sophisticated spiritual mechanism designed to distract people from genuine divine connection. The psychological warfare became painfully clear. By creating a single day of performative love, the spiritual forces behind the holiday undermined the concept of consistent, unconditional love. People were trained to demonstrate love through commercial transactions rather than daily commitment and sacrifice. Love is not a product, Jesus said. Love is a daily spiritual discipline. I witnessed how the holiday created artificial emotional constructs. The pressure to perform, to meet societal expectations, to prove love through material demonstrations, all of these were spiritual traps designed to keep people focused on superficial expressions of connection. The biblical perspective became a profound contrast. In Scripture, love is described as patient, kind, not keeping record of wrongs. Valentine's Day, by comparison, created a transactional model of love, who gave the best gift, who received the most attention, who demonstrated affection most dramatically. Jesus then showed me the spiritual ecosystem surrounding Valentine's Day, a complex network of cultural, economic, and spiritual interactions that most people never perceive. My spiritual vision expanded, revealing layers of interconnected spiritual dynamics. It wasn't just about a single holiday, but about how humans consistently compromise their spiritual integrity through seemingly innocent cultural practices. Jesus emphasized the importance of understanding spiritual architectures. Cultural traditions aren't random, they're deliberate spiritual constructs designed to distract from genuine divine connection. Spiritual warfare, he explained, happens through subtle cultural mechanisms. People don't recognize they're participating in systemic spiritual deception because these practices feel normalized. The revelations went beyond historical critique. I saw how these traditions create spiritual ecosystems that perpetuate disconnection, replacing authentic love with performative demonstrations. Biblical love, in contrast, was revealed as a radical transformative force. Not a commercial transaction, but a daily spiritual discipline of unconditional commitment, sacrifice, and genuine connection. Then Jesus guided me through a multidimensional understanding of spiritual manipulation that extended far beyond a single holiday. The revelations were surgical, dissecting cultural practices with divine precision. Spiritual deception, he explained, operates through normalization. People accept traditions without questioning their fundamental essence. I witnessed the intricate genealogy of cultural practices. Valentine's Day wasn't an isolated phenomenon, but a sophisticated spiritual mechanism embedded within generations of human behavior. Each tradition carried a genetic code of spiritual compromise, passed silently from one generation to another. The economic architecture became a revelatory case study. Corporations had masterfully transformed human emotion into a quantifiable commodity. Love became a market-driven experience, with billion-dollar industries orchestrating emotional landscapes through carefully designed marketing narratives. Biblical perspectives offered a radical alternative. Divine love wasn't a transactional experience but a holistic spiritual discipline, demanding consistent commitment, radical transparency, and unconditional acceptance. Jesus revealed how spiritual principalities strategically design cultural traditions. These aren't random developments but calculated mechanisms to distract humanity from authentic spiritual connection. Watch how cultural practices create spiritual ecosystems, he instructed, revealing invisible energetic networks that most humans never perceive. The symbolic language became transparent. Every cultural artifact carried embedded spiritual signatures: Cupid representing manipulative desire, red roses symbolizing sexualized spirituality, gift-giving representing emotional transaction. Jesus then revealed how the holiday creates artificial emotional landscapes. Women experiencing feelings of unworthiness if unacknowledged. Men feeling pressured into performative displays of affection. The entire construct is engineered to generate emotional vulnerability. Love cannot be measured by commercial transactions, he explained. Genuine connection transcends manufactured expectations. The saints' narratives are often misunderstood. The historical Saint Valentine, a complex figure shrouded in legendary ambiguity. The Church's tendency to elevate human figures to quasi-divine status contradicts fundamental spiritual principles of direct divine connection. Veneration of human intermediaries, Jesus cautioned, creates spiritual barriers rather than bridges. Biblical love represented a radical paradigm, unconditional, sacrificial, transformative. Not a single-day performance, but a continuous spiritual discipline of genuine human connection. Worshipping through recycled pagan traditions fundamentally misaligns with divine intentions. Each celebration carries embedded spiritual DNA, a hidden narrative of compromise and distraction. The most insidious form of spiritual deception isn't outright rebellion, but gradual normalization. Valentine's Day represented a masterclass in subtle spiritual compromise, a holiday so deeply woven into cultural fabric that its problematic origins become invisible. Jesus revealed the sophisticated mechanism of spiritual infiltration. Cultural traditions aren't random developments, but calculated strategies designed to distract humanity from authentic divine connection. Each heart-shaped decoration, each commercialized expression of love, became a micro-ritual of spiritual misdirection. Normalization is the most powerful weapon of spiritual deception, he explained. When people accept something without questioning, they surrender their spiritual discernment. I witnessed how traditions pass through generations like invisible spiritual algorithms. Parents unknowingly transmit cultural practices, each repetition embedding deeper layers of spiritual compromise. Children absorb these practices without understanding their metaphysical implications. The divine perspective transformed cultural understanding. Each Valentine's Day celebration wasn't just a single moment but a complex transmission of spiritual energy, a continuation of ancient practices designed to disconnect humans from genuine divine love. Jesus revealed the profound spiritual celebrations outlined in biblical texts, festivals that actually connected people to divine narrative. These weren't commercial performances, but transformative spiritual experiences. Then Jesus showed me the profound significance of the 7 biblical festivals, unveiling them as a divine roadmap of spiritual interaction. Each festival revealed a deeper layer of God's work in our lives. The journey began with Passover, symbolizing redemption and liberation, a reminder of God's power to deliver us from bondage. Unleavened bread followed, illustrating the need for spiritual purification, urging us to rid our hearts of the old and embrace the new. Next came first fruits, a celebration of resurrection and new beginnings, offering hope for transformation and renewal. As we moved to Pentecost, I felt an overwhelming sense of spiritual empowerment, the Holy Spirit filling me with strength and purpose. The Festival of Trumpets rang out, awakening a prophetic call to action, urging me to listen closely to God's voice. On the Day of Atonement, I experienced profound spiritual reconciliation, understanding the importance of repentance and restoration with God. Finally, we reached Tabernacles, where I felt the profound presence of God, a reminder of His divine dwelling within us. These festivals became more than dates on a calendar. They were living experiences, guiding me through a deeper connection with the divine. Each festival represented a profound spiritual journey, contrasting sharply with the shallow performative nature of Valentine's Day. As my spiritual experience began to conclude, Jesus' final message crystallized with ultimate clarity. This isn't about condemning love, he said. This is about understanding love's true essence. Love, in its divine configuration, wasn't a commercialized performance. It wasn't a single day of prescribed romantic gestures. Love was a daily spiritual discipline, an ongoing commitment of unconditional acceptance, radical transparency, and sacrificial service. My children have been systematically deceived, Jesus explained. They've replaced genuine spiritual connection with performative emotional transactions. The revelation wasn't a condemnation but an invitation, a call to spiritual awakening, to recognize and transcend cultural conditioning. When consciousness returned, I found myself in a hospital room. The hypothermia that nearly claimed my life became a distant memory compared to the profound spiritual revelation I'd experienced. I knew my life's purpose had transformed. I wasn't just a clinical nutritionist anymore. I was a messenger, tasked with revealing the spiritual mechanics behind cultural traditions that most people never question. The NDE testimony wasn't about creating fear but offering liberation. An invitation to see beyond surface-level cultural practices, to understand the deeper spiritual landscapes that shape human experience. Share what you've learned, Jesus' final words echoed in my consciousness. Not as condemnation, but as revelation. For those willing to listen, a profound spiritual journey awaited, an opportunity to break free from generational spiritual limitations and embrace a more authentic, transformative understanding of divine love.